Whether you like it or don't like it, sit down and look at it because it's the best going today. Woo!
G5 Jeff TV, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, please share this video, support your boy, support good content at all times. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BoxWithG5 Jeff TV, that's BOXWIT G5 Jeff TV. And if you guys don't mind, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I drop that heat. Now, I have been contacted by a couple of people. Now, for the people that's new to the channel, I usually put the lab coat on and I go in the lab when I'm breaking down fights and I'm getting ready to do fight predictions. But I've been asked by a really, really good friend of mine to put the lab coat on and go into the lab and break down this entire WBC and Dillian Whyte being ordered to fight a secondary eliminator with Luis Ortiz. Now, Dillian Whyte went off on the WBC, snapping on the WBC. I read that Eddie Hearn had some things to say in regards to the situation, but I was personally asked to put the lab coat on and bring some clarity to this situation and break down this entire situation. So I'm letting you guys know right now, get your pens out, get your pads out, and listen up real good, because you're not going to hear a better explanation than this video. All right? Now, Dillian Whyte is upset that the WBC has ordered a eliminator versus Luis Ortiz. And there's some legitimate reasons why Dillian Whyte should be upset with the WBC. Now, Dillian Whyte is number one. He's the number one contender in the WBC, and he's the current WBC silver champion. Now, the silver championship is it's like an interim belt, but it's really just another way for the WBC to get some sanctioning fees. I'm just keeping it all the way 100. All right. Now, Dillian Whyte's last fight was against Lucas Brown. That was on March 24th. It was March 24th. And it was not a final eliminator fight because the fight had the WBC silver belt on the line. So it was technically a championship fight. And during the time of that fight, Lucas Brown was ranked number 25 before that fight. Okay? Now, I want y'all to follow along with me here. Dominic Breazeale is currently ranked number 2 by the WBC. He's ranked number 2 right now. Dominic Breazeale's last fight was against Eric Molina. That was in November of 2017. All right? Breazeale was ranked number 6, and Eric Molina was ranked number 12 by the WBC at the time of the fight. Now, this is where the good information comes in. Big shout out to Boxingscene. Now, according to a Boxingscene article, which I'm going to have a link in the description, the win by Dominic Breazeale moved him from number 6 to number 2 in the WBC rankings. Okay? And according to the article, after that fight, the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, said that Dominic Breazeale versus Eric Molina was not a final eliminator fight. It was not a final eliminator fight. Now, the date of that Boxingscene article with that information was on November 4th, 2017. Now, we're going to fast forward to right now. Dillian Whyte has been ordered to fight a secondary final eliminator versus Luis Ortiz. Now, according to another article by Boxingscene, and again, big shout out to them, and this one was written by Steve Kim, who was well respected in the boxing circles, and this article was on April 26, 2018. Link will be in the description. The WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, said Dominic Breazeale is the mandatory to Deontay Wilder. This is contradicting the prior statement directly from the WBC president in November 2017 in the other boxing scene article, saying that that fight between Dominic Breazeale and Eric Molina was not a final eliminator fight. Now, according to this article on April 26, 2018, Dominic Breazeale states that he was told by the WBC that not only is he the mandatory for Wilder, but he's to expect the fight this summer, 2018, around July or August. Now, I know y'all asking yourselves, how the hell is Dillian Whyte ranked number 1? He has the WBC silver belt, which is supposed to be a gateway to a title shot. And he's the one that gets ordered into a secondary final eliminator fight against a guy in Luis Ortiz that just got a title shot against Deontay Wilder and got knocked the fuck out by Deontay Wilder. And somehow the number 2 guy, Dominic Breazeale, he gets the mandatory title shot first. Like, it makes no sense at all. Absolutely no sense. Now, what I'm about to say is going to be a little bit drastic, but it needs to be said. It really does. Now, I would like to say that I want the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, and this is unprecedented, what I'm getting ready to say. I want the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, to enter himself into his own WBC clean boxing program. Because I am officially making him a member of the PED boys. And if you don't know what the PED boys is, that's the Performance Enhancement Drug Boys, which is led by Alexander Povetkin. But with this fuckery going on right now, with this Dillian Whyte situation in the WBC, is no explanation for this. But the WBC president, he has to be on the finest, the finest PED juices to come up with this nonsense. He must got clenbuterol in every single PED juice that Alexander Povetkin ever put in his body and his system right now. But you know what? With all that being said, the WBC has a history of doing this type of stuff. I'll give you a little backdrop. I'll give you 2 recent examples. Welterweight division, Sean Porter. He's fought 2 final eliminators. One against Andre Berto, one against Adrian Granados. He won both fights, so he was supposed to be the number 1 contender for the WBC belt. Okay, fair enough. Then the WBC says Danny Garcia and Brandon Rios fight, which was after those 2 fights by Sean Porter, was going to be a final eliminator for the WBC belt. Danny Garcia wins that fight, and somehow Danny Garcia ends up number 1, and Sean Porter ends up number 2. And it took for Keith Thurman to vacate that WBC title to correct that situation. But if it wasn't for that, it was going to be a damn mess. It was going to be a mess. And WBC was not going to make Danny Garcia and Sean Porter fight for the right to go at Keith Thurman. They assigned 2 separate mandatories for the WBC champion of the world. So that's the first example. The second example, Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo, he was in a WBC title eliminator versus Jorge Sebastian Highland. That was July 29th, 2017. It was an official WBC title eliminator. And Charlo won the fight. His next fight His next fight was against Hugo Centeno Jr., which was for a WBC interim title, which made the winner the mandatory for the WBC title at middleweight. And Charlo won that fight. So essentially, Jermall Charlo fought 2 title eliminators. He fought 2 title eliminators. So those are 2 prime examples of the WBC doing similar type fuckery. Okay? Now, what's the moral of this story? It's a few things. Listen, the WBC, it has the most prestigious belt, which is the green belt. Nobody's denying that. But it's this type of foolishness that makes it look like that they're just doing stuff for sanctioning fees. We're just keeping it all the way 100. Like, they are multiplying sanctioning fees by 2s and the 3s. And if I was Dillian Whyte, I would be like, man, fuck the WBC. Fuck them. People done forgot, since Dillian Whyte snapped on the WBC, that he has an IBF final eliminator against Kubrat Pulev. If I'm Dillian Whyte, I'm like, yo, I'm just going to take that Pulev fight and I'm going to go the IBF route. And if people say he ducking Luis Ortiz, then so be it. So be it. He's ducking one title shot eliminator to get to another title shot eliminator. So it's really not that big of a deal. So Dillian Whyte should just give WBC the 2 middle fingers to keep it moving. And I mean, all of this talk, I mean, it's really, really for nothing, to be completely honest. Because if Dominic Breazeale gets into the ring with Deontay Wilder, I'm telling y'all right now, Deontay Wilder is going to knock Dominic Breazeale from the ring in the Eddie Hearn's office in the UK with one of those right hands. And if they set this fight up for this summer, you better believe G5 Jeff TV is going to drop a Dominic Breazeale prayer video before that fight, because he's going to need it. He is going to need it. And even though this whole situation looks completely shady by the WBC, we have to go by the letter of the law in terms of the WBC. So I'm going to put the link in the description of the WBC rules directly from their website. Okay? Which basically says the WBC has the authority to step in and take any necessary action. Excuse me, let me back up. The rules basically say that the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, has the authority to step in and take any necessary action above the Board of Governors, and all parties are subject to the rules and regulations and all rulings and interpretations hereof by the WBC. WBC has authority to basically do whatever they want, whenever they want, under their jurisdiction. And that's pretty much it. That's the situation with Dillian Whyte, the WBC, Dominic Breazeale, Luis Ortiz. By their rules, the WBC president has the authority to basically make rules and adjust rules and cater them on the fly. And that's just what it is, because he's the president of the WBC. And I'm not taking back what I said earlier. I want him drug tested. I want VADA, one of these other drug companies, to test Mauricio Suleiman. I want him tested. I want him tested, goddammit. Because this is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit at the end of the day. And you cannot tell me that that man is not on the finest PED juices. But I'm going to leave it right there. So I hope you guys completely have an understanding of what's going on with this situation. And I'm not going to speak about it no more. If you have any questions, just rewind this video. This is G5 Jeff TV. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video. Support your boy. Support good content at all times. I appreciate y'all. Peace.